bylaw Z18-04 for rezoning 235 Water Street. The meeting on Monday, April 27th, 2020 at 7:20 p.m. I will first go to record of attendance. I note that all members of council are in attendance. I will look for a motion to approve the agenda as written.
So moved.
Also, I'll second it.
Thank you. If there are no questions, all in favor of approving the agenda, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the agenda is approved. I will now look for a declaration of conflict of interest from anyone in relation to this matter. Hearing none, we can move on. And in fact, we will move now to Mr. Alex Henderson, Director of Planning, for a bit of a presentation to situate this matter.
Okay, thank you, Your Worship. So let me do the screen share. Oh, pardon me, I'm just trying to find here the, there we go. So everybody can see that?
Yes.
So yeah, this is a zoning bylaw amendment for 235 Water Street. The property is currently in the central commercial zone in the historic business district. The applicant is Judith Haynes, and she owns a single-family residential property on the zone, which is zoned for central commercial. In the property, which is zoned central commercial. She wishes to do in addition to her house, and when Service Commission development officers were reviewing the file, realized that she wasn't able to, based on the Community Planning Act, she cannot do any alterations or additions to her home because in the central commercial zone, a single family residential structure is not a permitted use of land. So it was a grandfathered house, or legal non-conforming is the technical language. So in order for her to do an addition to the land use, she needs to rezone. And actually, St. Andrews has a very appropriate zone for this, in my view. It's the mixed use zone. The mixed use zone allows for multiple types of uses, and you can draw from a number of different zones. So you can draw from the service residential zone, for example. However, mixed use zone, it's a zone that falls within the commercial umbrella. So this rezoning, you can see the map here I've shown, this is the Schedule 1, that would show her property, which is that it's marked blue, tucked in behind some commercial properties that are pink red color. It would allow her property to be maintained in that commercial designation of municipal plan. It doesn't change the designation on a municipal plan because mixed use zoning allows your property to change streams. You can change it from the service residential, and in the future she go to another commercial stream. It's a subject to terms and conditions, but it's permitted. This is what the property looks like when you do a survey with a building location on there. As you can see, there's a cottage, there's a cottage located here on lot 2017-1. And what they're proposing to do is put a 12 by 18 foot addition, and that's marked out in gray. So it'd be going to the south, the southeast. This is the sketch that Judith Haynes provided to show what the building would look like. This is only conceptual for the purpose of rezoning. Obviously, we'll need different building plans when we come to the building permit stage, but before she can apply for a building permit, she needs to obtain a rezoning of land by council. So you can see it is a 1.5 story building, and there's it's an extension to the building. This is the visual where the building is. This is Fundy Bay Realty. and it's they share a right of way with Fundy Bay with their parking lot, so they can access their property over the driveway that the real estate firm uses for its parking and its driveway. So it's tucked behind the fronting commercial properties on Water Street. This is municipal plan policies that planners have used in reference to this amendment. The economy section, the section 2521, looking to create a conducive environment for investment and protecting the quality of life, in enhancing quality of life in St. Andrews. And heritage, because this is the historic business district, it is a policy of council to recognize the value of retaining and enhancing heritage structures and areas while enjoying residents and business the reasonable enjoyment and appropriate use of the properties. So this is what the amendment is trying to achieve. I'm just going to slide this over. So the applicant's looking to rezone their property from central commercial to mixed use. And that was shown on the Schedule 1, which I showed earlier. So this is what the amendment council would be actually voting on, what it looks like. It's amendment to zoning bylaw Z1804, and that amendment would apply to the zoning map that's currently in force. As I said, this does not require a municipal plan amendment in the opinion of staff. Property could still be used for commercial uses in the future, subject to conditions. We do not recommend that all properties in the Heritage Business District would do the same rezoning. And I kind of spelled this out in the report I provided to council. If you switched all the properties on Water Street to single purpose residential, you're going to affect your commercial streetscape, which is characteristic of St. Andrews. You do not want to do that. However, this application may be different, and I have provided 3 reasons for why it might be different. Well, 1, the use is already residential. 2, the right-of-way is very narrow, 3 meters, that shared driveway with Fundy Bay Realty. So it's not a very ideal property developed for many commercial uses. It's already situated behind a commercial use. So you're keeping the active commercial street front intact, and it doesn't affect that in any way. So staff's opinion is that in this case, the rezoning would not compromise the historic commercial streetscape and allows for reasonable enjoyment in one's property, which is a goal and policy of the municipal plan. Now, I do provide in the report a kind of potential for terming conditions. My suggestion to council is to consider requiring traditional building materials for exterior cladding. And this is defined in the zoning bylaw specifically. So it means materials consistent with construction techniques and architecture of the pre-World War II era, includes brick or masonry veneer, glass, wood, shingle, stucco, but does not include vinyl, plastic, metallic, or enameled metallic finishes. My understanding from talking with Judith Haynes is that they are intending to do a similar material as what's already in existence. So this may not be necessary, but if council wished, it could do this rezoning with a resolution or development agreement. The resolution may be simplest, and just to have the traditional building materials be a requirement of a term and condition of the rezoning. So that's what the recommendation from staff is, that we recommend you approve this rezoning request, subject to the term and condition that any exterior cladding for the addition be in conformity with the definition of traditional building materials as defined in the town's zoning bylaw. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Henderson. Mr. Knopper, do we have anyone on at the moment to register an objection?
Through your worship, we do. I'm going to open the floor to Cindy Kohler. Oh, Cindy, you have the floor to council if you wish to speak. Okay, thank you, Cindy. That was the only other person online with Zoom, and we have received no comment on Facebook. I will note that you have had 32 views currently going on Facebook.
Okay. And Mr. Knopper, just to check in for council's benefit, have we received any previous written objections?
Through you, your worship, no, we have not received any previous written objections.
So I guess,
Through you, your worship, one question did come over Facebook. Is parking maintained? And that's the only question.
parking maintained.
Yes, is the parking for the property maintained?
Oh, is the parking for the property
That's the question.
maintained? Do we know that answer?
Your worship,
Mr. Henderson?
no, my understanding is that they have sufficient space to do parking as well. So I don't see any difficulty with them if they have to realign a spot that is currently, they have space to do that.
Okay.
And through you, your worship, one other question has just come in. It is the commercial lower level maintained as a condition?
Mr. Henderson, perhaps you can answer that question.
Sure thing, Your Worship. Now, this has to be understood. This is going from central commercial to the mixed use zone. The mixed use zone is different than central commercial. So what they would be doing is maybe having their property in a zone which has basically all the benefits and obligations of the service residential zone for this particular use. If they switch to a commercial use that was found on the list for the central commercial zone, then they're going to those requirements. So it's to understand the mixed use zone, it's like, as I said, pick a lane. So if you're on a fork on the road, the mixed use zone gives you multiple roads to go down. You got to go down one of those, and when you go down one of them, then you live in that zone's conditions. So in this case, you'd be living in the service residential zone conditions, which does not have any requirement for ground floor for commercial.
Okay, thank you.
Through your worship, you're good.
That's it?
Thank you.
Okay,
Your worship,
Yes.
I have a question for Mr. Henderson, if that's acceptable.
certainly, Mr. Council Group.
My question is with regards, this seems to be a property that might have been missed for whatever reason, and just, it's currently residential, and it's in a central commercial zone. Do we have a similar concern with all of the houses on Douglas Street and the one house on Pagan that maybe should be switched over to mixed use?
Your Worship, if I could,
Certainly.
this has come to the attention of planning staff that there's a number of properties in the Heritage Business District that are single-use residential, some of which would be appropriate probably to go to this zone with the new zoning bylaw. And actually, to that effect, planning staff has already put together a map and I think a proto report for council consideration at some future date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Council Group. I guess that no one else online, so I guess we've completed our responsibilities with that, and I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
And
I'll second.
seconded?
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Henderson had seconded it.
Okay, thank you.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? I don't think so. And so we are adjourned. Thank you, Council.
See you at the next meeting.